If you are struggling with your multiple sclerosis, then you're not alone. I have done extensive research on vitamins and supplements that you can start incorporating into your everyday life to drastically improve your symptoms and your overall health. So in this video, we're going to be looking at supplements and vitamins that are going to help with your brain health and brain function, inflammation, which is common in most people with autoimmune diseases, and also your overall quality of life, and vitamins and supplements that can help improve it. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 16 years old. Over the past 10 years, I have been doing everything under the sun to help me cope with my multiple sclerosis. From vitamins and supplements, to adaptogens, to herbs, to cold plunges, to meditation, to sauna, all those wonderful things alongside my Ocrevus medication. So one thing that I am a huge proponent for is finding the medication that works for you, and then also incorporating a lot of holistic things, whether it's herbs and supplements, whether it's adaptogens, whether it's meditation or therapy. I think treating your multiple sclerosis really needs to be all-rounded. We have to be nurturing ourselves on all different levels. So we can't just be looking after our bodies if we're not also looking at the mental effects of having a disease, the psychological effects of having a disease. These are all very serious things, and so quality of life goes obviously into your brain health and your brain function, but we're also going to be looking at things like depression and anxiety, things that are really going to be feeding and nourishing your internal world as well as your physical body and your brain. So the first one that we have is lipoic acid. It is an antioxidant that is actually made naturally in the body, but it is also being studied as a therapy for MS, so that's very exciting. So this vitamin helps lessen the immune attack that drives MS, and it also helps with neurological symptoms. This vitamin regenerates endogenous antioxidants and repairs oxidative damage. Beyond this, it helps promote healthy glucose metabolism. The next vitamin, which I absolutely love because it's very easy to get in, is selenium. And you can get this vitamin in just by eating 2 Brazil nuts a day, so that's also super exciting. I really like vitamins and supplements that are quite easily available, and so eating 2 Brazil nuts a day feels like something that's manageable and not something that's super overwhelming. So why are we looking at selenium as a potential vitamin or supplement that you can be using for your MS? Well, for starters, some studies show that patients with MS tend to have low selenium levels, so it's important to look at that. Selenium also has antioxidants, and antioxidants are great because they help with oxidative stress, so that's also another really important thing. It also works by neutralizing excess free radicals and protecting cells from damage. It's important for the thyroid, and it boosts the immune system. The next vitamin that we will be speaking about is something that I have been taking religiously because I really think it's an important one for inflammation, for brain function, and for myelination. So this is omega-3. I take 2 of these a day, and obviously if you're eating a lot of fish, you might not need omega-3 supplements, but there's a lot of studies that show the importance of having omega-3 supplements. And what's incredible about omega-3s is they are known to reduce inflammation. So anyone with an autoimmune disease will know that we have a lot of inflammation in the body, and so taking your omega-3s will reduce that inflammation. Omega-3, as we know, is important for the brain. Having low levels of omega-3 promotes inflammation, which contributes to disease symptoms and progression. A study showed that supplementing with omega-3, DHA, and EPA, I hope I'm getting that correct, can actually reduce inflammation. So this is going to help with your disease, and it's going to help with your overall quality of life. What I also really like about supplementing with omega-3 is, of course, the brain fog. When you have an autoimmune disease and when you have multiple sclerosis, but I know that other people who have autoimmune diseases also struggle with this, it is the brain fog. It can be so difficult to go about your day, to be properly functioning with your work, with your school, whatever it is, and the brain fog can be so heavy. Often I find that I only have like 3 hours in a day where I'm optimally functioning, and then afterwards my brain fog is so intense. The problem with brain fog is that you also get a lot of chronic fatigue that comes with it, and so I find that omega-3, because it's helping my brain and it's helping my brain fog, I find that on the days that I'm supplementing with this, I'm also a lot less tired. I have a lot less chronic fatigue in the day. So I think that omega-3 is such an important one to get, and I also love that omega-3 is so easily available. I am currently taking 2 omega-3 tablets and it's just really helping me, and I'm definitely going to stick with it and see how that goes. In my last video, I spoke about lion's mane, which is an incredible mushroom, and at the moment I am not using lion's mane paired with omega-3, but I think that in the future I'm definitely going to start pairing these two together, because lion's mane also helps with brain function, chronic fatigue, brain fog, and I think these two together would be such an incredible powerhouse. So I'm definitely going to look into that. Like I said, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I am supplementing with omega-3 and I can see a huge difference in my overall health. The next supplement that we're going to be speaking about is CoQ10. CoQ10 helps energy production and protects cells from oxidative stress. People with MS tend to have high levels of oxidative stress, and this can lead to tissue and cell damage, so definitely something to consider. So another reason why I also really like this supplement and I'm very excited about it is because it helps with depression and it also helps with energy levels, and so these are two very important things. Depression can often be a symptom that people with MS have, or you might have depression independently of having MS. For me personally, depression is a symptom of MS. That is how I have been experiencing it, and so anything that helps with depression and energy levels is so important. As we know, people with MS struggle with their energy levels, whether it's just your daily energy levels, your physical body gets really tired, you have brain fog and chronic fatigue. Energy levels is something important to be looking at, so I really am excited about this supplement and I highly recommend looking into it and finding the correct dose for you. It is important to note that this supplement is not good taken anywhere after like 11, because obviously you have that energy level, and if you take it any later than that, you're going to have trouble sleeping, and that's definitely not good for anyone with MS. I always speak about sleep hygiene, and so it's very important that when you're looking at these supplements and vitamins, you're looking at how they're impacting your sleep, because sleep is so important. You need sleep to be healing, you need sleep to help your body, and you need sleep to help you cope with this disease. And so on a mental health level and also a physical disease level, you need to be looking at your sleep hygiene. So just pay attention to the vitamins and supplements, and like I said, make sure they're not impacting your sleep. So just something to look out for. The next vitamin that we're going to be looking at, this is a crowd pleaser among the MS community, and I'm pretty sure your neurologist has mentioned this one to you many a time: vitamin D. I know we all love vitamin D, especially people with MS, because people with MS tend to have low levels of vitamin D, and so it is important to be supplementing with vitamin D just to help you. Vitamin D helps regulate inflammation and immunity. It can improve the overall quality of life for people with MS in terms of their energy, and a study showed that there was a reduce in fatigue. As for disease markers, in people who already had a low vitamin D baseline, a study showed that there was improvement to disease markers. I am a sun baby, so I spend a lot of time outside in the sun, and I live in South Africa, so every time I check my vitamin D levels, I'm actually doing super well. So I do supplement with vitamin D, but I wouldn't say that I do it religiously. I probably take vitamin D about 3 times a week. Now in the southern hemisphere we're in winter, so I am taking it a little bit more frequently, but in the summer months I like to just take it 3 times a week, and I find that that just really helps me with my energy levels. I often find that it gives me so much energy, which I mean is amazing, but then I often struggle to sleep on those evenings, so I make sure that if I am taking vitamin D along with like all these other supplements, you know, my omega-3s, my lion's mane, all of that kind of stuff, that I am doing that in the morning so that it's not affecting my sleep. A study has also shown, and this one really excites me, is that vitamin D can reduce disability and relapse rates. So I think it's something to look into. There's no harm in taking vitamin D, so I highly recommend getting on it. Like I said, it is probably something that your neurologist has already pointed out to you. I know that in the MS community, most people know about vitamin D, but I thought that it was just a good thing to mention in case you haven't heard of it. Okay, so the next supplement, this one, honestly, for me, is a huge crowd pleaser, and that is magnesium. I don't think I could live without magnesium. I take this supplement every single night. I take 2 of my magnesium pills, and I can see that they've drastically improved my quality of sleep, anxiety levels, my sleep, my chronic fatigue, my brain fog the next day even. I absolutely adore magnesium, and honestly I don't see a lot of people in the MS community speaking about magnesium, and so even though like it's quite a well-known supplement, it's not as like funky as like the SOQ10 or whatever, I hope I'm saying that correctly, I think that it's still an important one to mention. So the reason why I absolutely love magnesium is that yes, it helps inflammation and all those incredible things, but it also helps anxiety and sleep. Chronic fatigue and brain fog is so much worse when you are not looking at your sleep hygiene. And anyone that has a really overactive mind is going to be struggling to fall asleep. And so especially in my luteal phase, this is also really important for people who have a cycle, menstruating people. For me personally, whenever I get to my luteal phase and just before my period, I struggle with sleep so much, and the worst part about that is the time where we need sleep so much more. And so I often will up my magnesium. Like I said, I take 2, so I'll just make sure that I am taking 2, and then when I'm in my ovulatory phase and my follicular, I just take 1 magnesium supplement. So yeah, like I said, it really helps with energy levels, with brain fog, with my sleep hygiene, helps with anxiety. So if you're someone who has anxiety because of this disease, if it's one of your symptoms, or if you just have anxiety in general, then I really recommend looking at some magnesium supplements because it's such a well-known one. There's amazing things that people are doing, like making magnesium gummies to help you fall asleep. There's even daytime ones. Check in with whoever is helping you. So the other reasons why I love magnesium, it helps with muscle spasms, fatigue, stiffness, back pain, weakness, and numbness. Alongside your magnesium, you can also be taking calcium. I've heard incredible things about these 2 supplements together with regards to your myelin. Magnesium and calcium together is said to help the development, structure, and stability of myelin. I'm now going to go a little bit deeper into the improving of quality of life for people with MS. First things first, I'm going to be speaking about folic acid and vitamin B12. Studies have been shown that these 2 supplements together have been known to improve quality of life for people with MS. Let's now go into saffron, another incredible supplement which helps people with their depression. Like I already said, people with multiple sclerosis struggle with depression, sometimes as a symptom of having a disease, because having a disease is incredibly hard. Don't underestimate the mental baggage that comes with having an autoimmune disease. It is incredibly difficult, and so I think that you really need to be nurturing your mind and the mental load that you're carrying. And so saffron is such a wonderful herb for this. It helps with depression, and super important, I also love St. John's wort, another way in which you can really just have like balm for the soul. I love St. John's wort. I'm currently not taking St. John's wort because I am taking 5-HTP, which helps with my sleep and my anxiety and also with my depression, and you can't take those 2 together. But if you're not taking 5-HTP, I highly recommend taking St. John's wort. I took St. John's wort for years before I started taking 5-HTP, and it is honestly my favorite herbal remedy. Like I said, it's balm to the soul. When you use it as a salve, so I like to make like more of a cream with some beeswax. It also helps with muscle spasms, with pain, and it also helps with nerve pain. So like when you have a pinched nerve and things like that. It's such an incredible all-round herb, whether you're drinking it for depression and anxiety or whether you're using it on the body in a cream or salve form. Next supplement for quality of life is going to be scaletium. Again, this is incredible because it helps with anxiety and depression. It also helps you sleep better. Paying attention to your sleep hygiene, I always say, is so important. So you can take that at night, you can pair it with some chamomile tea, and you will just have the most beautiful like little sleep cocktail to really be looking after yourself. So those were just some of the really exciting supplements and vitamins that I wanted to mention in this video. I already have other videos about my herbal supplements, adaptogens, and all the exciting things that I do to help my multiple sclerosis. I just want to emphasize and remind that taking vitamins and supplements work over time. So you're not going to see a difference in the beginning. Stick with them, see if they work for you, and honestly, if they don't work for you, you can always leave them. Just because I or someone else recommends a certain supplement or vitamin doesn't mean that it's something that you need to take. So you really need to tune into your own body, have that sovereignty, have that bodily autonomy, and find what works for you and leave what doesn't. Lately, I've really been enjoying looking more deeply into vitamins and supplements because I have been struggling with my energy levels and my brain fog. I know that I already mentioned at the beginning of the video that sometimes I feel like I only have 3 good hours in my day. I find it incredibly hard, especially at the moment, because I am currently writing a novel, and that has been taking up so much of my brain capacity. I'm also doing my master's, and I often find that I start to just get very fatigued mentally and physically, and so these supplements have just really been helping me. Even if you might not see a direct improvement to your actual MS symptoms, I don't think that you should negate all the other incredible benefits that they have just to your everyday life, because yeah, like I've been saying, I have really found a huge difference using omega-3 and using my herbs and adaptogens. Yeah, don't be afraid to try new things, don't be afraid to switch up your routine, don't be afraid to experiment with certain vitamins or different kinds of adaptogens or herbs, because I really think that you'll be able to see relatively quickly, like after a couple weeks of use, whether it is working for you or whether it is not. And everything that I recommend, just make sure you're checking in with a medical professional. I know that often it can feel quite overwhelming because there is so much different information out there, but I really want to encourage you to tune into your body and start developing a sense of bodily autonomy and sovereignty. This is your body. This is, you know your body the best. And so even though I'm recommending certain things, I always think that it's good to just tune into your body, see if it is something that resonates with you, and then also don't be afraid to try something, but then know if it's not working for you, that it's okay to release it. You know what I mean? Always say in all my videos, like, this is just a suggestion, but you need to be taking care of yourself and nurturing yourself on a mind, body, soul level. I don't think that we should be negating the very real emotional impact of having an autoimmune disease. So of course supplement, of course take your vitamins and things like that, but also meditate, get therapy, connect with something higher than you. It can be intense and it can be really, really hard, but have a community of people that you can talk to, connect with other people, don't isolate yourself. We can do so many things. We can think that we're doing so much when we're taking like vitamins and caring for ourselves on those levels, getting our medication. But if you are isolating, or you don't have a community of people to talk to, or you don't have that kind of like that feeling that you're held on a greater level, whether by the universe or whether by God, or, you know, connecting in that way, I think that it can be a huge burden to carry by yourself. So as much as I'm recommending these supplements and vitamins and all these kinds of things, I am also recommending having community, having a sense of connection with something higher, and yeah, just making sure that you're looking after yourself, nurturing your dreams, your visions, your creativity, spending time in nature. All those kinds of things I think are equally as important as the vitamins and supplements that I recommended. So I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day wherever you are in the world. I'm sending you so much love. I am holding so much space for you through this disease because I need it equally as much. It is so challenging, it is so hard, but it is also so beautiful because we have a sense of connection and community with other people who have autoimmune diseases, and it gives us so much empathy. So yeah, I'm holding space for you. I'm sending you so much love wherever you are in the world. Lots and lots of love.
Folded on the lawn chair.